There it is. This is very important to look your best. I use this on clients, mostly dudes that come into the studio and they are all like sweaty, like, well, I'm fine. And then, they're not, So I use this stuff. I give them this. Legally, I'm not allowed to touch their face really without a cosmetology license. So I just hand it to them. Although this brush is mine. This is only for me. This is my special brush.
You have a special brush just for you.
It keeps me from looking sweaty on the YouTubes.
What is that you're putting on your face? Can you show the rest of that?
No, I keep this in the studio. I actually use this a lot. This comes from Essence. It's called All About Matte, and it's it's just a transparent fixing powder, and just takes the shine away, so it makes retouching easier, or sometimes not even necessary. It's pretty cool. It's about $4, and I use it all the time on other people mostly. Sometimes myself.
So I should probably do an intro here. I could just do a little quick.
Yeah, I'm ready. Hi.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Everything in my teeth? Okay. You good?
No,
all right.
Good. I'm glad. It's right after lunch, so yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Kirkian, your Director of Education at PPA. And on this segment of In It Together, I'm really not sure what Gary's going to say.
No one is ever sure what Gary's going to say.
Gary, how are you? Gary, my friend.
Yes, doing okay. It's a weird, I guess, I don't know if you've heard, but 2020 has been a little strange for some people.
Six months. We're going into our 6th month.
Yeah. And people are starting to get weird. Like, the question you ask yourself is like, is this how life is now? And, it's just such a mix of interesting differences for a lot of us. For many of us, a lot of things have slowed down. We've had to change tactics, change our business around, change our lives around. And, we've certainly, most of us have been doing a lot of introspection. Most people seem to be doing a lot of yelling on the internet about things. That's happening a lot. But all in all, as far as photographers are concerned, I mean, there are a lot of questions. A lot of studios will be completely wiped off the map by something like this. And everybody wants to know what to do next. People are afraid for their businesses. People are afraid for their families. Their kids are going back to school and nobody's really sure what to do. It's a challenging time to be an entrepreneur. If there was any time where you were sort of a little bit envious of your friends that have like a steady job that's deemed as necessary, now would be the time to rethink, like, what did I do? What have I done? And so it's interesting. A lot of people down on themselves because things are bad and they're not crushing it. And I think that's kind of what's been on my mind lately, is that there are just people out there, photographers, especially people in our industry, creatives, influencers, that are still putting everything out there like they're crushing it and nothing's wrong. And I talk to photographers all over the place, and I'm in contact with a lot of them. And I got to tell you, nobody is crushing it right now. Nobody is crushing it right now. And there's a lot of guilt for entrepreneurs whose businesses are struggling right now. You feel like you should be doing more, you should be doing better. And I think that's probably one of the biggest lies of all this, is that it's okay just to be a mess at the moment. And I think that's you just want to tell people, like, it's okay that you're not having 2020 isn't your best fiscal year you've ever had. Yeah. Like, it's okay that things are bad. Like, it's not you. It's Earth. It's the planet. Like, you're the whole planet. You're all right. Normally when I say it's not you, it's Earth. It's you, but this time it's really Earth. It's really Earth. It's not So that's what's going on. So
I know you especially love it when people tell you that at least now we have the gift of time.
Oh, geez. If I had a sock full of nickels in my hand, I'd just like to plant it right on the cheekbone of somebody next time they say the gift of. I have 3 children, 5, 2, and 1. And when you're at home with 3 children, there's no gift of time. You know what my gift is? It's cleaning up mac and cheese off the floor. It's moving the couch and sweeping all the crackers out from underneath it again, even though you told them you can't eat on the couch. Don't eat on the couch. Somehow crumbs appear under the couch. And that's, you just clean the house 100 times a day, and then there's no time, and then you pass out from exhaustion. So there's the gift of time for you. So for a lot of us, the gift of time is all it is time spent doing something that we're not used to doing. And I don't feel like I have a lot of extra time. I feel like I somehow have less time. And it's okay not to have centered all your chakras and found yourself and your purpose and relaunched your whatever brand in this last 5 months. Like, it's okay. That's okay too.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your sense of humor. I appreciate you saying all of that, because we do need to laugh more. I think in this moment, we need to find more humor. We need to find more grace. We need to find more kindness wherever possible, because it is hard. This time is hard.
I agree. I feel that in past times of sort of national crisis, that people really had pulled together. You remember that? You remember 9/11? I remember 9/11. I remember there's so many different terrible things that have happened every decade or so. Usually something awful comes along, whether it's a recession or a terrorist attack or a natural disaster that, whatever. And people always seem to pull together. And in this instance, I don't see it happening as much. I see a lot of division and a lot of blame throwing, and I think that we could shift into a better attitude as a people, and just to sort of cut each other some slack, and to realize that we're all under this tremendous pressure, and that in the only way that matters, we're all absolutely on the same team right now. Or on, nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this to continue. And everybody has different ideas about how we should proceed, but that doesn't mean that anybody's enjoying themselves right now. Like, maybe you have like one agoraphobic friend who's living their best Oprah style best life right now, just not having to leave the house or talk to anyone. But other than that person that nobody's having a great time with this. Everybody wants
life right now. Introverts are so happy.
They're pretty happy with some things. I don't know that they're like bursting at the seams, but you have this is the great part is you have the ultimate excuse not to go to things. One, because there are no things to go to, and two, because you don't have to go to it's like when you have kids. I have 3 small kids, so I can get out of anything. Like, nobody can tell me I have to come to a thing. They'd be like, well, you got to be there. I'm like, I'm sorry, kids. My favorite excuse is the diaper exploded. I'm not coming. Like, we were getting in the car and a diaper exploded, and now we're not coming to whatever thing that you want us to come to. I apologize. Like,
so sorry.
It's amazing to me how people expect. And I'm not saying it's anyone else's fault that I have kids. I don't like to burden other people with the gift of my children if I don't have to. Like, yes, we made them on purpose, and so now they're our responsibility. It's not your fault. I'm sorry my kid threw a cup of noodles at you in Denny's. That's my fault. That's my kid. I'm not expecting you to be okay with that. But like, the amount of people that want you to come to pack up all of your small children who aren't all toilet trained and bring them to a thing, when you just say, you know what, you're 35 and single. Why don't you come to my house? Why don't you come here? Bring your board game or whatever you wanted to do in your box of wine, and why don't you come with us? Because we're not going to go to there, because it's a lot to get in the minivan with the things. And if there's anything I hate more than car seats, putting them in, taking them out, buckling kids into them, buckling kids out. I'm glad that they keep them safe. But anyway, I digress. So the gift of time.
About that.
How's your gift of time going?
Oh my.
I could give you a couple of things that we've been doing to keep business going. And
Let's talk about that, Gary. I love your humor, and we could do that for half an hour.
Well, honestly, I have friends that are doing whatever they have to do right now to make ends meet, and they've taken different jobs, or they're working for other people, and almost wanting to sort of keep it a secret, like it's something to be ashamed of. And let's not kid that for most of us, photography is a luxury business for quite a lot of us operators. And so you're not going to is necessarily, family portraits on the beach aren't necessarily going to be on somebody's list of high priorities of things they need to preserve in their budget this year since they're unemployed or whatever it is, So, you have to do what you have to do. And I just see people sort of being ashamed or sad that I'm like, you're out there like providing and hustling. And there's nothing more noble and more important than that. And when the earth decides to stop ending itself currently, like when the apocalypse has passed, there'll be plenty of time to ramp back up into your portrait and wedding business. Like it's okay. Like, yes, it sucks. It's awful. Nobody is having a blast except for my introverted friends. Nobody's having a blast. And so just because you had the best year, we had the best year our business ever had in 2019, and 2020 looks more like our first year in business than our most recent year in business. And that's okay.
How are you staying connected with your current clients so that when we do get beyond this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've cultivated a lot of emails over the years. So we do a lot of email marketing with our clients, and we always have. And so we kind of turned our email newsletter, which would go out every other week. We've turned our email newsletter into weekly, and then we've turned it into sort of a community bulletin board. So what we've done is we've dug through our client list, and we've started trying to feature our clients' businesses, because we are a studio that serves brands and businesses. We're a commercial portrait studio, a lot of headshots, actors, models, portfolios, website images, custom stock images, and some commercial photography. And so we have a lot of clients who are also in business like us. And so we've been finding any of them that are doing anything that's helpful or interesting and starting to feature our clients and their businesses in our communications. And that's been a really cool way for us to have a reason to stay in touch. We've also started putting community information into our emails, like here's where you can vote. Like that's a really cool one. If you're not sure where your voting precinct is or whatever, like here's that. And, here's the county's website where you could still apply for financial aid for grants for your business. Like we have just turned it all over into helping our clients survive this too. We even put in stuff there for like, hey, are you stuck home with your kids right now? Because are some great resources of things you can do to help keep your kids entertained and educated and engaged while you're at home with them during the pandemic. So we've been doing kind of like a lot of, it gives us a good reason to stay in touch. And it has almost changed the way that we communicate with our clients. It's made us better content marketers, to be honest, because we're always thinking now, the mindset is, what can I put in this communication that's going to provide value to my client base, to my audience? And then that is something that even when the pandemic has subsided, that's something that we should just continue to do. Like that's not like pandemic marketing. That's just good marketing. Yeah. And so I've gotten at least half a dozen emails, which when you send out an email blast, you very rarely get a response to it. People click on it, they don't click on it, they open it, they don't open it. But I've gotten physical responses where people reply and write us an email to say thank you for the information that we've been putting out. And we're getting just a really good, and so no, we're not going to be up to the level of business we were doing before this happened, especially the way our business is built, but we are trying to be creative in how we communicate, and we are there for people as it's safe to do so. One of the big areas of income in our business is we do headshots and branding images for teams. Teams are like the best money-making, team headshots are like the best money-making thing we got. The problem is now everybody's working from home and nobody is getting together in the same place. And so we can't necessarily do that the way we used to do it. So we've actually used the incredible technology that exists today to create custom calendars for our existing clients. So we've emailed all of our clients who we photographed their teams, and we've created a calendar for them using our CRM, which, I mean, you can use Acuity, you can use Calendly. We use 17 Hats, has that built into it. And we've created content and emailed and let everybody know that if you need team photographs, we can still do that. And so we've created a calendar for you. All your employees are working remotely. They can make appointments on their own and come into the studio, and all your headshots will still match and everybody will look great. And we've had several of our clients have been taking us up on that, and I've been shooting those every week for different companies that we work for. And so we do have companies inquiring about working with us, and they're like, well, we have to make sure that we do this. I said, no problem, don't worry about it. Safety's not an issue. Everybody can just come in whenever they feel like it. You don't have to organize a whole big party, open up the office, bring everybody back in. So they can all just come into the studio whenever they can. We create a custom calendar and they do it. And just getting creative with the technology to try and meet a need. And we've stayed pretty steadily busy, not pre-COVID numbers, but enough to keep the lights on. And that's been a big help.
Yeah, without a doubt. So when you say teams, you mean groups, employees, groups?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, we're just using the nomenclature of our time, the preferred nomenclature. Team members, cast members, member, like employees. So, law firms, insurance companies, telemarketers, whatever it is, they all need pictures, especially now. They all need pictures, online representations of what they look like, because everybody's working from home with the business up top and the sweatpants on the bottom. But they still need great headshots, and even more now than they did before. So we've actually continued to market to those teams and are still paying for advertising for that, and created information that has solutions on our website and in all of our communications that show that we can actually help them accomplish that goal without having to go through the whole thing of, we're trying to tell people, don't worry about waiting to do it, because everybody doesn't have to do it all at the same time on the same day. And so that's been a pretty good marketing campaign for us. That's worked pretty well.
Well, I love that too, because you're creating solutions for now. I mean, I'm looking at all the companies that are actually doing well. Zoom being probably the biggest one.
They're probably the only people that are pretty thrilled about the pandemic. Them and maybe Charmin toilet paper. They're like really crushing it. Cheney Brothers Incorporated, who bring the toilet paper, whatever. There are some companies that are doing. Amazon loves this,
just I think finding the solutions for what's happening in the world right now. And I think you've been really clever and figuring out what is it that they need, and then figuring out a way to fulfill that need. So, and then also connecting with your community. That's huge. That's huge right now. And I agree with you. It shouldn't just be during COVID. Like that needs to be at all times, right? We're learning some really important things right now that I do think our hope will stick around,
Our people values purchasers, especially, the younger generations, millennials, and then I don't know what they call them, Zoomers now. They're going to be Zoomers forever. But whatever they're the most socially conscious generations that have ever existed, and they know more, they have access to more information instantaneously, and they care more about stuff. One video of a sea turtle with a straw up its nose, and now nobody's got straws. Like within a week, nobody had straws, because people care how they spend their money. And one of the things that you can do to become a better business and to become a better marketer in your community and become more trusted by your audience and your community is to be out there trying to do good and to make things better and to help. And I think that's something that I've learned during this, is that we've always tried to be good content marketers in that way. But now we really have dug in and actually said, what can we do to help? And it's made our marketing better. So not everything is terrible, but and we want to continue with that moving forward. We've actually changed our whole email communication and our whole marketing strategy, and it's been a win, really, in a lot of ways. And I'm excited to see what the response to that kind of marketing will be later on when this has passed. And let me see, this will pass.
Well,
it will, and we'll hug again, and we'll high five again, and we'll laugh and drink and dance and go to parties and go to sports games. Sports games, is that the thing? We'll go to sports games. We'll do all that stuff again, And some of that's already started in certain places. And so, it's not going to be forever, although it feels like it. But if you can't fix the problem right now, you can't make it all better, and you can't necessarily have the exact business that you want to have right now, but you can get by and get creative. One of the things I see people doing is looking for other avenues that don't require so much in-person stuff. Like photo restoration has been a great source of income for certain people that I know. They've started doing a lot more of that. You can do that very, very easily without, just open up new streams of income and do what you got to do at the moment. And then be present with your audience, with your clients. And then when things have returned to somewhat normal, you're gonna shoot off. Your business is just gonna shoot off like a cannonball, like, because you will have been in their minds and on top of their mind the entire time, doing good and helping, and not asking them to come and spend money with you.
Yeah, at the very heart of PPA's Bridging the Gap message is the idea of understanding your customer and understanding what they need, and putting that first, right? So we're artists, we like to put our artwork first, but really, if you put the client needs first and then build product around that, that's really the essence of what that
Yeah,
means.
absolutely. I mean, identifying a need is like rule number one, solve a problem, identify a need.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then combining that with what you've been talking about. I actually have this little Post-it note on my thing, because I had this little quote earlier, and it just says, what is the very best thing I can be doing? Because I feel like in this moment, dealing with everything that's going on, I have to remind myself that, one, I can only do one thing at a time. I tend, to take on a lot and get really overwhelmed. So you can only do one thing at a time. Remember that. But then what's the very best thing you can be doing? And sometimes that means for yourself, and sometimes that means for others, right? So as you're defining new product lines or new ways of connecting with your community, finding where those needs are, and helping. And I think what you said earlier, about we're going to hug again, we're going to connect again. We have just a different way of connecting right now, and those relationships they're not on hold, and it's what you've been talking about. You're building them right now, and people are going to know you for that business, maybe not that photographer, but that business, that entrepreneur who was present during all of the stuff going on. That you have a voice, and that you're sharing, and that you're hopeful, and you're encouraging, and you're helpful, right? So those are the things that you want to be known for, I think, as a business owner, right?
Well, absolutely. And I remember that our very good CEO David Trust actually once said that. I remember he said a brand is how your customers feel about you. Yep. And then if you think of the brands that you feel so strongly about, throw up like Disney, and how does that make you feel? Dolly Parton, how does that make you feel? Like, how you feel, and everything that you do, from your communication with your clients, your customer service, all of your marketing, all your message, the work that you do in your community, their end user experience with you, all of that creates your brand and how they feel. And this is not, if there's no other good that comes from this, you have the opportunity in dark and interesting times to become a very, very important, impressive, and compassionate brand that your audience feels very good about. And so now is a time you can do that. That is one thing you can work on quite a lot right now if you've got nothing else going on.
Yeah, and on every list, I feel like there's all these lists of how to get through all this stuff, right? So I have all these little Post-it notes and Post-it notes.
Meditate.
On every single one, this is the list essentially: gratitude, exercise, mindfulness, detox, whether it's food or the news.
Yes.
Connect with people, know your purpose, help others, and spend time in nature. I feel like those are the ones that are core, like on every single list I've read. And I love that, because so much of it is defining, it's like who you are, right? So a lot of this does apply as you are building your brand and building your business, because you can build your connections, your voice, the things that you're sharing kind of around this list almost, which I think is what you guys have been doing, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there are a lot of things that you'll be able to make up ground on. I mean, we're being pushed back a long time. Like, for some of us, it'll take a year or two to really recover, the growth of our business. But you can rebuild that. That is something it's marketing meets product meets your market, and you can go get it. You can go make that money. You can build your business back up. And yes, you'll be a little bit behind for a while, but you're going to have a lot harder time rebuilding yourself emotionally and psychologically if you don't take care of yourself and those with you. And like, for example, like our kids, we have our oldest was supposed to start school, and we were just, oh, hold on, I lost my battery.
Can I do some elevator music on my?
Yeah, you can edit this later, right? Hold on. You can still
Or
hear me,
not.
right?
I'm not sure. We might just leave it in.
All right, cool. That's all right. This is called dealing with adversity.
Can you recite poetry or sing a song or something, Gary?
Hold on. Yeah. We're back. Dealing with adversity. There we are. Okay, so I should have checked that battery before I started. Everybody's trying to be fancy with using DSLRs as their webcams, but there's so many more buttons. Yeah, so like I was talking to a good friend of mine about our kids starting school, and we had so much stress and anxiety about, what if they get behind, and is this virtual education going to be as good? And she said to me, she goes, my kid's going to make up the schoolwork eventually. What's more important is taking care of their emotional health right now. And like, I don't want them to look back on this time having felt traumatized by this. And then I said, to her, I said, well, and yeah, I guess you just don't want your kids to see you fall apart, while all this is going on. And she said, no, your kids can see you fall apart, but they also have to see you put yourself back together. And that's one of the most important lessons that you can give them. And I thought and I've just been carrying that with me for the last couple of weeks, about how much better I feel. You can really just look around you at certain things and just go, all right, I can make that up. It's okay. It's okay if that's not perfect. We'll make that up later. We'll hustle after that. We'll catch up. Right now, let's make sure that we're all okay here and okay here. And that's hard for me because I'm like a workaholic. I'm like put everything behind my mission. And so learning to adjust my focus to be like, I have to take care of my health and my family's health and their emotional well-being, and all the other stuff, succeeding in all the other ways is something that's just might have to wait for a little bit. And you just got to be okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And maybe that is one of our takeaways from all of this too, is just getting into a different habit, and because I do think, and I know you personally, I do think, like we just go right full on full court press, and when do you stop, and when is enough? And I think we're asking ourselves those really important questions right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I'm not comfortable with, that I'm having to get comfortable with. And you know what, in the long run, that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. I appreciate your humor. I appreciate your perspective and hearing some of the things that you guys are doing with your clients. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
For joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Anytime, no problem. And I'll get a better battery next time. They won't die.